Hey, what's up? Back with another video. So, people have been hitting me up saying, yo, you talk too much about Katlego. And some were saying, yo, you need to get on this video cause we knew that you'd never respond to her about actual politics and stuff. You just wanna beef. And to those who said I should speak less about Katlego, I say, hey man, I felt that there's a need to address her in the way that I did. It's not meant to be a permanent thing. If she's hot, I'm hot. If she's chilled, I'm chill. So I've been scrolling past the YouTube page. Her stuff has been coming up. I've been reading the titles. I've been seeing that she's kind of being specific and dealing with the government stuff that needs to be dealt with, things that need to be criticized. You understand? So I haven't had much of an issue, but people are pressuring me to holler. I guess people want to know what my feeling on expropriation without compensation is, because that's the video that she did over here. And I'll reveal to you, man. All you just gotta do is ask. All you just gotta do is ask. Maybe you're wondering, thinking I'm an EFF member, and what it will take is for her to do a video about expropriation and somebody like me is just gonna keep quiet because I'm an EFF member, right? That's what you think? Okay, let's watch Katlego here.
When people complain about the expropriation bill, there are those that support it just because. There are people who believe as long as white people lose something in South Africa, then it is good and well. The expropriation bill does talk about expropriation with compensation, but one thing that most people seem to want to ignore is that it also does talk about expropriation of property without compensation. The ANC's actions and inactions led to the destruction of the city of Johannesburg. They are solely responsible for the chaos we see in Johannesburg today. But since there is this G20 coming up, we know that Cyril Ramaphosa is now acting like he just recently noticed how bad things are in Johannesburg. Only now does he care about the residents of Johannesburg.
And we are going to work together to rebuild Johannesburg, to take Johannesburg back to its glory days. I got a sense that our people were really living in terrible conditions.
Hey, by the way, I haven't been to the city in some time. I'm seeing some news saying that it's a mess and this G20 is being proposed to be moved to Cape Town. That's a surprising thing, man.
Apparently, our president has got a sense that our people are living in terrible conditions within Johannesburg. This is something that Cyril Ramaphosa believes we can turn around. This is where the talks of expropriation without compensation come in. And there is something I want you to notice here.
And we can turn that around. Those abandoned buildings where the owners have either run away should be subjected to the law we've just passed, expropriation, even without compensation. They should be turned into living accommodation. And it falls very wonderfully in the interpretation of our Constitution and the law itself. And it would be for a purpose, useful purpose for our people.
So, Cyril would like to turn things around in the city of Johannesburg by using the expropriation bill. This is not vacant land or the farms whose expropriation many people were happy about. When expropriation is mentioned, many people start thinking about farms and land first, right? But when you consider that the expropriation bill speaks about the expropriation of property, which is not limited to land and farms, you realize that those that were complaining about the expropriation bill were not complaining about nothing. Cyril Ramaphosa believes that the abandoned buildings should be expropriated and turned into accommodation buildings. The sad part is that the owner is now being viewed as the one who ran away, and the conditions under which he abandoned the property are disregarded.
So the owner is being considered to have ran away? Won't the property be seized if the owner has run away? Because these buildings, owning a building comes with municipal rates, collection, supply of services, refuse, water flowing in and out. Those are merely the taxes for being there and being connected to the city's bloodline. So people do run away from buildings. Have you never been to an auction? People run away from buildings because the building is now no longer able to generate revenue because it has fallen into a state. And there's many reasons why it falls into a state, including the owner's negligence, the owner's greed. Maybe the owner passed away and the kids were in charge and they were fighting among each other, collecting money, eating. And so the building falls below a standard where no one can live in it and it can't generate revenue, but it continues to have expenses. So the owner runs away. If that building is taken, what's wrong? What should be done about that building? Should it remain there until the end of days?
What am I talking about?
Yes.
Well, because of the ANC failing to do its job, that is policing the city of Johannesburg and protecting the rights of landlords, many were forced to abandon their properties.
So what will normally happen, someone will come and pretend to be the rightful owner or pretend to have bought the property from the rightful owner and tell the tenants and show fraudulent documents to the tenants and take over the property. They will then instruct the tenants to pay monthly rental to them. They will collect on behalf of the owner. So that's how property hijacking happens.
So there's criminal elements, there are scammers. Is this a criminal element or is this the lack of protection for the rights of commercial buildings? Is this scammers and crooks or is this the law? Because I'm living in a building that is rental. I've run into issues with the landlord and these people are quite tough. They've taken me to the High Court of Johannesburg on an urgent application because of some issue that we had some time back. So as far as I've engaged with a landlord, lived in a landlord's property, man, I've never seen so much power. I've never seen so much money. So, man, let's listen.
So the owner would not have access to the property. They'll be prevented from accessing the property. They'll be intimidated, threatened, and in some instances beaten up.
So yeah, right there it says crime in SA. So this news piece where this clip was gotten from, it was discussing crime.
Beaten up. What they do, they will get their own people who will take, who will pay them monthly rental. You as an owner will not collect a cent from the hijacked property. Some of these buildings are bought. So these people have got information on properties that are going to be auctioned by the banks. So they will have first-hand information. So before you as the owner occupy that building or the property that you have bought, say for instance, from an auction, they'll be there. They'll tell you can't access. And it's difficult. These people work with various people. So it's a syndicate. There's people from these offices.
Syndicate.
They've got people in SAPs. They pay our officials
Organized
as well.
crime.
So it's a syndicate. They have a lot of people in their pocket. So it's very difficult to deal with it. But
the city became a hotbed of crime. Many landlords lost their buildings to criminals who hijacked the buildings and started collecting rent while threatening the rights of landlords. The landlords did not get help from the police or the government, hence they simply stopped maintaining the buildings because the buildings were as good as stolen. Do you now see that President Cyril Ramaphosa and his party are responsible for the destruction of Johannesburg? Years later, we now have the Expropriation Bill. And guess what? The landlord loses their private property to the government under the Expropriation Without Compensation law. Is it not ironic that the ANC is the one that caused criminals to get brazened within the city? The ANC is the one that emboldens the tenants to not pay rent.
Where's the evidence for that? Where has the ANC emboldened tenants not to pay rent? The High Court kicks people out, yo. The red ends, you get kicked out, bro, when you don't pay. You get to understand the way of the world. In these so-called hijacked buildings, apparently these buildings are not hijacked. The owner hides behind a management company of fixers, crooks, gangbangers. So this building is owned by a certain company. They've got another company that is managing the building. And so this management company actually manages other buildings that belong to several owners. So they have a reputation. They are the white representative, white manager who will manage the white man's property properly and collect the rent. And the building owner gets to live a rich lifestyle, sipping cocktails in Boca Raton. However, when things get really bad, the management company will pull out and the white business owner will go and fetch gangsters to enforce collection, etc. And then that building will be said to be hijacked, but it's actually not hijacked. The owner of the building does not want to take accountability for the state the building is in, the fire hazard that they've created, but they still want to collect the money, you understand? So I don't know if Katlego is trying to defend some property owners who are hiding behind mafias and claiming that the ANC has allowed that situation to happen. That's a logical thing to do. When your white building manager decides, no, I'm leaving, you go and get Zulu dudes who are property managers, who know the game, who understand that when that guy leaves because that building is falling off or that building has problems financially, this man here needs some muscle and they need to hide. We, the black faces, will come out.
Is it not ironic that the ANC, which caused the city to decay due to mismanagement, corruption, and incompetence, is the one acting like it suddenly is here for the people of Johannesburg?
And we can turn that around. Those abandoned buildings where the owners have either run away should be subjected to the law we've just passed, expropriation, even without compensation. They should be taken, turned into living accommodation. And it falls very wonderfully in the interpretation of our Constitution and the law itself. And it would be for a purpose, useful purpose for our people.
Is it not crazy that he is making it seem like he is doing all of this to help us? That he wants to expropriate citizens' private property for the sake of the citizens. Personally, I no longer enter Johannesburg CBD unless I have no choice. I no longer go shopping there under any circumstances. And that is because of the ANC. Sadly, many places across South Africa have become just like that. It is a fact. There are too many places within our beautiful nation where the ANC has destroyed the towns and cities. Instead of the ANC fixing their mess, you, as an owner of any property that has been catastrophically affected by the ANC, might find any one of your properties expropriated without compensation. Remember that the Expropriation Bill does not say that property to be expropriated is exclusive to land. Property is exactly that, a thing or things that belong to someone. Anything that can be called property can and may be expropriated under this new law. And some fools clap their hands like dumb seals, thinking that it's only directed to land and farms that they currently do not own. They think that they're safe, and so they support the ANC's decisions around the Expropriation Bill. The ANC caused the mess that led property owners to lose their buildings to either gangs or non-paying tenants.
When she says, besides these buildings, I mean land and a vacant building just sound the same. I know that this has been marketed by the EFF primarily as farm land, arable land will be expropriated and people will get a piece of land. This is in order to address what? Black people entering the farming community and generating wealth. And number two, land where people can live to resolve the thing we call squatter camps, if you know what that's about. So there has been words spoken about expropriating land for people to have places to live. Not as popular as people getting a piece of land to farm and supply to Pick and Pay. That's been the grand promise. But for people residing, I think we all know that, and I think it's making sense. So not really a strong argument against expropriating a building that has rotten. The building owner will have to show up. The building owner will have to be given notice. We can put yellow tape around the whole building that says, the tape that says, "Building owner, please report to the president's office. This building is about to be expropriated. We heard that you ran away." And we wrap that whole building with tape. If the building owner passes that building back and forth for a year, Brian, they don't say anything. The police move in there, remove the mafias, put people inside there to watch which mafias come, if mafias come. The mafias are told that this building is in the process of being taken by the Republic of South Africa, and we're still waiting for the owner to show up and claim it. If the owner doesn't claim it, take it. The owner is given maybe a grace period to still come back, even after it's been taken. Guess they can have a standing in court. They can say, "Hey, I was lying in a coma in Venezuela after I went for boob surgery. So now I'm back and I hear my building has been expropriated. I'd like to have it back." And then the government just charges you the price of the renovations. You pay all of those expenses. Or maybe enter a co-ownership situation with the building if you don't have the money to pay back the rebuilding and repurposing and refurbishing of that building. You enter into a co-ownership arrangement with the government. They absorb the costs. You negotiate a cut with them. Is my logic too loud? Am I trying to be too practical over here? Is Katlego trying to leave dilapidated buildings as they are, whether they are in that state because of ANC sanctioned violence over the landlords, or the landlords themselves falling into financial issue, sniffing cocaine for too long in Monaco? The building is now rotten. Something needs to be done about a tall, rotten building. And what is Katlego proposing over here? That the building be left that way? Have I been forced to defend the ANC or sound like an ANC member or something like that? Because I'm not. I believe that the expropriation bill can do these small things, but 90% of the expropriation bill is reserved for Orania. This is the Orania expropriation bill. Ramaphosa is now using it as a tool to solve other smaller issues, but the main purpose of that bill is to make sure that the Afrikaners do not start a utopia over there. They do not create a Switzerland. They do not get money from the United States to build airports and stadiums and start rugby leagues and Olympics for Afrikaners only. If they create a world-class city over there, the ANC wants to be able to say, "Yo, we're going to build a highway passing by over here and we're going to be building around Orania. We're going to surround Orania from all sides. We're going to develop around here. So you're going to live right in the middle of this development where we're going to bring black people." So this beautiful city that you'll have built will be the CBD, the metro. It will be a Bloemfontein. It will be the main city. And the people around there will come in and out to attend school and to get health care. And athletes will run in your stadiums when the time is right. So that's what the expropriation bill is about. I myself was taken by the introduction of the expropriation bill. I never came up with it myself. It was never my idea. I joined a new Red Beret political party. When the time was right, they appeared and I became a member from pretty much the beginning. Then they said, land expropriation without compensation. And we're like, okay, cool, man. Let's do it. Whatever you say, we support it. So the EFF pushed for this. The ANC agreed with them, but not to give it in the full extent that the EFF wanted it, and powerless to do what the EFF fully wanted it to do. Less powerful. However, my opinion is that this was a negotiation tactic from the very beginning by the EFF. Negotiate a very high and ridiculous expropriation bill that will take the farms for no money at all, and then throw that there for that to be debated, knowing that it'll have to be bargained down, but not rejected entirely, because as the EFF proposes it, the ANC knows that, this is a great proposal. We would not openly propose it ourselves because we're in bed with the neoliberals. So at least the EFF is suggesting it. We will adopt it. We know we need it, but we're never going to be able to speak it ourselves. Trump would have stepped in the first administration. Back when he called South Africa and African countries shitholes, the fracas that we are experiencing now, we would have experienced it back then if the ANC, the ruling party, was the one saying expropriation. But they contracted that job out to the EFF. They say, "Hey, yo, come and propose us with a bill to expropriate because we need it. Make it a ridiculous one so that we'll spend some time bargaining it, negotiating it down, and then we'll finally accept it and set the terms that we specifically wanted it for, which is to stop Orania from being a successful project that will shame black people and raise the status of the Afrikaner. You see? Imagine people arriving in South Africa, flying in, and then taking another flight to the Principality of Orania there, the utopia. Imagine. So the ANC had to say, nah, man, we need to be able to take big people's things away. You know, like how the Chinese government took Jack Ma's money? When you start having perverse wealth, or what the law, what the government, the taxman perceives to be a perverse amount of wealth, in the same way that there can be a wealth tax to limit you a little bit, this is a limitation on Orania's reach. We'll be able to reach in, tax things. If you start big businesses here and you are generating money, we'll put the SARS right in the middle of Orania there and collect. That's what's up.
And the property owners, instead of getting back their buildings, will have their buildings expropriated. And how do they dress it up? By saying useful purpose for our people, by making it seem like it's all for your good. When you stand to benefit from the expropriation, you may like this whole expropriation stuff, but wait until your property is the one being expropriated. Then you will see what is wrong with this bill. Fact is, everyone.
So people without property who've got nothing to lose from this, you are suggesting them to imagine their property getting seized. Let's be practical. Let's be hypothetical. Let's say there's reasonably somebody out there who does not have a property, who supports this expropriation bill, so that they can actually live inside that hijacked building, which will now be fixed by the government, the municipality. It will be integrated housing, part paying people, part non-payers, RDP/commercial. That person who wants a place to stay should be worried about the expropriation bill. I think your warning has a market. But for starters, I think your warning is a ridiculous one, because Rob Hersov made the same example about they can seize anything, even the watch on his arm.
What were those three words? It was expropriation without compensation. So this is in essence, they're taking farms.
Well, they
right?
can.
Yeah.
So they haven't implemented it yet. It's been signed into law.
Yeah.
And it's not just farmland. It's property. They can take the watch off my arm.
It's property. They can take the watch off my arm.
So I think there's a ridiculousness and incredulousness being sold over here.
Can lose a property under this expropriation bill. Your tiny or big house, you can lose everything to the government without compensation, whether you're black or white. This pleases chaos lovers, people that are hungry for the destruction of other people more than they are hungry for their own growth and development.
I'm not hungry for people's destruction. I just think that you are capping.
They have rendered themselves too lazy or too incompetent to achieve anything due to their victim mindset.
I'm highly productive and I don't have any victim mindset. I'm a capitalist. I strongly believe in personal pursuit, personal passion, the pursuit of happiness, of making money, wealth, which is why soon, as my subscribership grows and my viewership grows, I'll be advertising a business of mine that I hope you all will support soon. And you'll realize that some of us are not what we are presented as here. We just want to be rational about the expropriation bill. We're not chaos lovers. We're not lovers of other people getting hurt. I actually believe that the bourgeoisie should not be ripped out of their houses. Their stuff should not be taken. For real. What white people have from apartheid, what they've acquired, properly or improperly, at this point, it's gone. They are gone with it. They should be left with it. We should look to generate new things. We should look to equip the black kids with AI skills, the creation of autonomous agents, productivity by using AI to write and create stories, books to read, or just for self-improvement. So you learn about us and the plans that we think should be used to improve this country. We're not anarchists.
Sadly, our country is full of people who want to see white people lose everything, even if it means the destruction of the entire country. They are willing to lose it all in order to see white people eating the dust. Some are willing to lose it all in order to see black people who are doing better than them fail. Many black people own various properties. Many black people are owning shares in many companies, whether privately or in the form of their pensions, which are invested in various companies. Many black people have successful companies, big and small. Many black people are in senior position roles. But these communist radicals wish for...
Hey, that's the nicest I've ever heard you speak about black people. Katlego. Yeah. Many black people are CEOs and property owners. All right. Yeah.
For all that to collapse simply because they have crippled themselves with a victim mindset. They cheer Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC for this nonsense. They cheer policies that destroy because they have nothing to lose. It brings them joy to see everyone failing and falling to their level. Anyway, what do you think? Do you see what is wrong with the Expropriation Bill? Do you see how the ANC is trying to dress it up as though they are doing it all for your good, when really this is very much against the freedom of the citizens of our nation?
I see the conspiracy that you're trying to weave. I see it. Maybe you'll justify it with some concrete showing and joining of the dots. Here's a building. Here it has been hijacked. The owner is AWOL, but they are back. Whatever. You'll take us through a proper example soon. But hey, man, as long as you didn't denigrate black people, keep it up. Let me subscribe to your channel. Proof, check. I am now subscribed.
Please share your thoughts in the comments section, and while you're at it, please like and share this video with more citizens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned, and until next time, beware of the comrades.
I even liked your video. Everybody else, like mine. Share, comment, and subscribe. I will see you next time.